Hey, hey.
Hey everybody, we're here.
Okay. Well, you start us off here.
It's Makers Monday. Well, I'm Patrick here, of course, controller on the boards here today for our Maker Monday, and of course we have James, the leader of the pack, runs the game, MatchBOX Makerspace. What's up there, James?
Not much. It's Monday, so we get to talk about another making topic. And tonight, I'm really excited because I know this is something you know a lot about. You've been going down those rabbit holes,
Down the rabbit
as I
holes.
have too. With NFTs, and we talked about NFTs with somebody else on here, but tonight we're just going to kind of talk about your views of it, my views of it, some of the metaverse stuff that's coming out that we've heard, and then
Yeah,
and relate that to some of the making stuff that we have going on. So I have
yeah,
all sorts of questions for you, and I think you have some questions for me. So we're going to try something a little different tonight and do it that way.
yeah. We're gonna do, and also everyone watching, feel free to ask us any questions, and we can try to answer them as best in our possible, we possibly can. Um, but yes, the NFTs.
Oh
It is
man,
is
okay,
taking over the
yeah.
world, man.
You know, depending on who you talk to, right? And
Well,
that's something that's a very good point that I
that is a very good
I like to
point.
make. Not everybody believes that they are real, right? like
Yes,
honestly,
this is
that's the thing
true.
that not everybody believes they're real, and they're it's very strange because um they are they are in a very real sense the fact that people are doing things with them like that are basically tickets to events, which is you can't deny that
Hmm.
like the thing that Matrix just did, which I don't know if people know about, but the Warner Brothers literally made NFTs. You have to have the right NFTs for whatever it is. I'm not exactly sure how it goes. I should know. But basically, what it ends up is if you buy an NFT at the end of like the movie opening, or if you have enough of them, you can actually pick whether you get the red pill or the blue pill, and you can either trade in your NFT for whatever like the blue pill is. But you don't know.
Hmm.
They're not telling people what it's going to be. So it's this crazy thing. Like the NFT itself might be worth money, or be like a collector's item, or it might be like a ticket to get something else. And I know you all know all kinds of other ways, but it's
Hmm.
just crazy to me to see that how people are monetizing it and how people are using it already.
Yeah, it's and well, it's really the really cool part about it is that, especially for something like the Matrix, digging into such a new concept to most people. Like
Yeah.
I read some statistics about this the other day that only actually about 4% of the people in the world even know what an NFT is. Only about 1.7% of people are actually taking advantage of the opportunity of the blockchain in general right now. So we're counting bitcoins, we're counting cryptocurrency, we're counting.
Yeah.
There's only about 1.7% of people on the planet that are actually paying attention to what's going on in this new this our new next technology really for our for the world really, the blockchain web 3.0 and this metaverse new ecosystem that we're going to be living that people are going to be living in. I say this, the matrix that we're
Yeah.
going to be living in, or as that's going to exist, it's here. It's here.
It is. It's here.
And
But tell us more about it. Tell us more about like
okay,
Web 3.0.
okay,
I know I've heard a lot of different things, but I want your perspective on it.
okay. Well, just in general, just to kind of maybe give you guys a little bit of a quick overview of kind of even what NFTs are, and I had a look, and I found a little bit of a little graphic that kind of explains it pretty well for us here. Is pretty much you have different kind of tokens and type of digital of assets, and the non-fungible token is the comparison of like a car or a piece or an item like a painting or a house or something that actually it has value but it is not actually a value based item. Whereas also you have fungible tokens, which is that's up there on the top left that you see, which is Bitcoin or Ethereum, or some kind of carbon copy, which is equal to the tangible of gold or silver or something that's actually really really money. And
Mhm.
so what the people are really kind of in all of this whole digital world, and as James brought up earlier, is that they don't think that these digital assets should have value, and see them as not having value. And that's kind of where the argument is with the NFT world. My viewpoint on it is actually we've been living in this world since PlayStation 2.
Oh, okay. Tell us about how's that a thing?
Well, because I think that, starting in our video game era, our creator area, there's always been things inside of gaming and games and things like that have value to somebody, that's worth something. I mean, we can just even talk about general art, like to certain people. I mean, yeah, okay, Pablo Picasso, cool. It's a cool painting, they have whatever these art pieces that somebody made. Somebody said, oh my God, this is amazing, it's worth something. But to most people, they're like, I wouldn't give you 30 cents for it.
Right. I mean, unless I knew the value of a famous art piece, I probably would be like, I have enough stuff hanging on my wall at my house. I don't need it.
Right.
No, it's not my thing.
Right. It's not.
Yeah, it's exactly that.
It's exactly that. There's people out there that collect wine and collect these things, that have been sitting in barrels, forever. And all of a sudden it's worth money to somebody. But there's also someone that really doesn't know the difference and will go and just crack it open and drink it like it's a Budweiser. So it's really one of those type of deals where, I mean, this whole fungible token, non-fungible token, the cryptocurrency, where there people still haven't really understood that in the digital world that there's things that have value. And so this is where we're at the point now. It's just another, real weird, very weird statistic that I read the other day is that even Morgan Stanley is starting to delve into the cryptocurrency and specifically in the NFT area, in the metaverse area. And we'll talk a little bit more about the metaverse here in a second. And we'll maybe do some explanation of that. We can tell people because I'm sure they probably don't know what that is either. But even Morgan Stanley, the big, hedge funds, everyone knows who Morgan Stanley is. If you know anything about financial of anything, are looking at the metaverse by 2030 being a 50 billion plus business.
I mean, it's I can definitely see that. It's the next thing that's coming.
It's the next thing that's coming. And so it's something that, I mean, really, even if you don't really care, you should start paying attention to, because that is the world we're going to be living in. But
well, and it's not that I hate to tell people that like they need to pay attention to something, but it's just it's fun to know what's going on, right? And to understand that there are people right now that are buying digital land.
Yes,
right.
Digital land.
And they're digital, literal landowners, which is insane to me. And obviously, they're an early adopter, and they might lose their money. They might lose a lot of money, but they could gain. They have a lot to gain too.
They have a lot to gain too. Correct.
They're just banking on the fact that people are going to want to do this. And honestly, I think one of the best arguments I've heard for it is that a lot of people have. There's a few things like there's a whole what's it called, minimalist attitude of things.
Yes.
And you can have a lot of things that are NFTs. They're really cool collector's values, and you're collecting and doing a lot of cool things with an NFT. That you can still be a minimalist, right? You can still, when you log off, you can still have everything. You can have your one cup, your one, your computer, and that's it, and everything can be very simple. So there's a lot of people out there, or you can be one of those people who, they go from hotel to hotel, or they go like the van life people, right? Those people can still collect things even though they don't have a lot of physical space.
Correct.
Right? Which is really, that's a cool thing. Another reason you'd want to use it is, I mean, with the metaverse coming through, which we can get into a little bit more, there's, augmented reality is going to be fantastic. Well, I mean, for me, let's get in the metaverse about it. Let's talk about the metaverse. But for me, like one of the best examples that I've heard is the fact that, like, okay, so right now we can all be having a conversation, and we all have cell phones, and we might pull them out and be like, "Hey, man, did you see this funny meme? Or did you see this thing? Or maybe like this chart?" Right? Like we have conversations in person that sometimes have to do with things on our phone. Right? You can integrate, maybe you have an argument and you want to look up on Google what's going on. So you integrate your phone with that. Well, soon our phones aren't only going to be a thing. It's going to be glasses or it's going to be contacts, or it's going to be something else that's going to like allow us to do that augmented reality. So what will end up happening is I might say, yeah, did you see the new, stats for MLB, right, for the Major League Baseball League? And I'll just go, whoop, and then like pull out like a pie chart that everybody that has one has one of these augmented reality devices on them. They'll be able to see this pie chart in front of me, and I'll be like, oh yeah, like there's this, and this is going on. Well, for anything, or I can be like, hey,
Mm-hmm.
look at this cool picture, and I'll literally pull out my hand and go like this, and it'll pop up. So the thing about it is, the more people that get that, just like cell phones, the more people are going to need it and want it. Because I'll be sitting
Yes.
here having a conversation with you in AR, right? And we'll be laughing about whatever the hell we're looking at in AR, and other people who don't have it are going to be like, what the hell? Like, let me see or whatever. And it's going to be hard to adopt at the beginning, but I really think it'll be like a landslide once the technology gets good and once people start using it. And for me to be able to literally play Pokemon Go, for example, which is a very popular game, my wife loves it. I played it a little
Yes.
bit; it was okay, but I would play it more if it was in augmented reality. To the point where I was walking through MatchBOX through the makerspace, and I'm like, "Damn it, Squirtle, get off the like laser printer!" Right, and
Yeah.
random things like that. It's cool. It's super cool, and they actually will have everything scanned, which they already kind of do. But they'll scan
Yeah.
like your augmented reality glasses will also be able to scan your surroundings. So
Yeah.
not it won't be silly where the thing will be sitting on there kinda. It'll literally have to like move around the actual
Stuff.
objects in your room. Yeah.
Right.
And if you take up a real object and like throw it at the thing will probably detect it. The game's good enough for the things. And with quantum computing, forget about having to worry about computing power, right?
Well,
So
yeah.
I mean, once quantum computing hits, and that's a whole different thing. But another thing that's going to propel, Web 3, Web 4, Web whatever you want to call it. Like it's going to blow everybody's mind. And that's an if. That's a when, not an if,
Yeah.
as
It's
well on when that's happening.
it's a totally a win, and like you said, and yeah, combining quantum computing with blockchain,
Yeah.
where it's already you're using so many computers and so much processing built around in a decentralized space. That is so much computing power. The idea for this to happen, it's going to happen.
Yeah. And
It's not even.
what I'm saying is like a little tiny device like this or
Oh
in your
yeah,
glasses can have the power with quantum computing, with actually the computing we have now,
yeah.
to be able to pop through things, and actually like real time integrate things.
Oh yeah.
And with battery power, everything's coming together for Web 3.
Yeah. And the beauty of this, like you said, as we're going to really kind of dig into, which I'm really super excited about, especially for the maker communities,
Yeah.
is the actual making of the metaverse is very, very, very similar to the things we talk about a lot of times on this show: 3D printing, 3D modeling, 3D, all these
Scanning.
different tech
You can scan things.
scanning,
Yeah. Scanning.
coding, like
Oh,
the
tons of coding.
tons of coding and all the things that even going into looking at the spot of all the new jobs and new careers that are going to be creative and all the different kind of aspects of makers abilities inside of here for creatives and people or even tech people to create their own new economy. We're the metaverse is literally a maker's economy.
Oh, it's a creatives economy for sure. Because what it lets you do is, instead of you making something and everybody being like, "That's neat," I just copy and paste a picture of it and put it on a shirt. You get to say, "No, I made that, and for sure that's mine."
And that's for sure, that's
Right?
mine.
And
Yes.
now you like, if there's legal backing that you can have.
Yeah.
At least that's the thought, right?
Yeah,
I'm sure that
totally.
there'll be other issues. But I want to get back to something you just said about the creation of jobs for it. But
Yes.
yeah, like let's think about, I don't know, the way the internet was before cell phones, now via like after cell phones. And I really do think of like AR glasses and basically Web 3 and the metaverse is basically like um, another revolution or another generation, I guess, of cell phones.
Oh, definitely.
Right. And I don't
100%.
think that they're going to be, there's going to definitely be the virtual reality headsets that people put on. But I think the one that you're going to see most commonly used in practice are the AR, right? Which is the like Google Glasses was way ahead of its time. I didn't it didn't have enough stuff to work well with it. The technology, the
Right.
battery life, everything else wasn't there. But now it what's great is we had it. We understand what how it worked.
How it functioned,
Now
how it
it's going
worked.
to go from that. But yeah, as far as like making things, making art,
Art.
making like the just the way like things function, the way things work. Even if it comes down to like scanning stuff or it comes down to programming things, that's all going to be things that you can put an NFT on. You can put your maker's mark, I guess, if you will, on it.
Yes.
And people will know that you can do it.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, because with that, with the blockchain, if for people that are still, 100% blockchain, really is, it's pretty much it is a ledger. The blockchain is considered a ledger. Hence, what is connected, it tells you where each transaction from this piece of item that was connected to the blockchain, where it goes, and it's trackable. Which that's why this
In
NFT
public.
in public, yes, you can see it. It's public. It just has an ID and a number. You can track a number back to a point. It doesn't have blockchain. It's anonymous to the point at this point in time. To a point, you can leave it that away if you don't want to put your real names and things like that. But you can see where those transactions happens, and it's a ledger. So, showing ownership of these digital items is paramount in this new world, and also what makes it kind of important. And so back to kind of what James was kind of saying with this is that in this new makers coding and space and be able to create space, um, you're like, for instance, James is a modeler. He creates items. He creates you know full items for people for their for their armors, prototypes, things like this. These same skill sets are going to be able to be used in this new world. And the beauty of this, even the more interesting part that I've really been digging into, and it's taken me a little bit of time to really try to figure it out for myself, is to look at how we're going to transition the physical, connecting the digital to the physical to bring into the digital world. And that's what the metaverse is going to do as far as living wise. You're going to be able to have crafters of, you know, James creates swords for his other, company he works with. There's 3D people creating 3D printed all types of different products that are literally still also going to be able to be used in your virtual world. And it's going to be one of those things that's people are going to want to take in. I mean, you have tons of people talking about mine. I mean, a lot of the young kids, and I say young kids like I'm really old, but I'm not like that old. But they played Minecraft. Like right now, you parents spent millions and hundreds and thousands of dollars buying Minecraft things for your kids for them not to be the value of anything. And in this new world that we're talking about, these things are of value now and can be used. And what they're doing is they're looking to transfer this into tradable, usable goods in a digital world. And that's, I think that's what excites me, and the creators behind these things, the coders, the 3D modelers, 3D printers. Like that's one thing that, like James, you were talking about. The only bad thing is for 3D printing people, this could, a lot of people give away a lot of free starter stuff with this new digital world. Where do you, that was one of my questions when the 3D printing space and creation space. Like there literally is going to be people out there now, like we were talking about tools and creating tools where this is a value that can be printed at home. This is finally a way for them to monetize that for once, finally. I mean, what's your thoughts on that?
I mean, so people have a big thing is a modeler, a 3D modeler right now might model and they might make a helmet, say, right? I do a lot of cosplay stuff, so somebody might design a helmet. Well, right now, once that file hits the market, and they might sell it for $10 for the file, but then people are willing to like some people share it, right? And they put it out there for free and trying to track down and say like, no, that's actually my file. That IP belongs to me. I'm the one that made that is incredibly hard right now, right? They can do it.
Mm-hmm.
But your lawyers involved, and it's the same way. It's just like pictures, like photos for photographers, right?
Right. Yeah.
Talked to a photographer not too long ago. Same issue that he had. So yeah. So in general, um, I think it's going to make things like that a lot easier to actually monetize, to actually be able to put like honestly, I fear that. I know a lot of my friends fear that too. if I'm spending hours upon hours and hours making a model of something, right? And then
Mm-hmm.
out there and I'm like, hey, cool, I want to sell this. And I sell it and I sell it for $10 and then all of a sudden it goes on Thingiverse and people keep just reworking it and tooling it from there. Then it's gone and basically people don't need what I just did and I made, a little bit of money on it. Maybe. With an NFT that won't be the case. Don't get me wrong, there'll be more people who will make more than one helmet and more than one whatever, but that's good too, because then you have variety, right? So
Right.
there's a ton of people who might make, if you're talking like, again, I'm talking in cosplay land, but if you're making like a Red Hood helmet, there's a ton of people who make little different types of Batman or Red Hood helmets. But the more variety you have, the better, because like, hey, I really like that one. I like how that one goes together, that sort of thing. So the more people out there making vials and verifying them, the better, because you're gonna have just more of them.
Right.
And then another great thing is you can pretty much go in reverse too from making from 3D printing. So like say I make something and like the things I've already made, I can scan and say, hey, this is something I made. Now I'm going to put it on the digital universe, right?
Mm-hmm.
And also here's the NFT for that. Here's the verification of that. And maybe it's something that I didn't 3D model. Maybe it's something that I actually sculpted by hand with clay, or maybe it's something that I kit bashed or whatever, however I made it. Or
However you
actually
made it.
this weekend I was just at C2E2 and I was in a full costume and I walked into a booth and they scanned me. And I'm like, yeah, I want this scan right now. They probably have some type of rights to it, but whatever. I like gave them my email, told them who I was, but they scanned me and my whole costume. So now I have a 3D scan that I can print out in a picture. I'm not a very picture, but I can print out as like a mini, but it's of my face, it's of my whole costume, exactly like how I made the costume. So as scanning technology gets better, as all these technologies get better, is going to be able to go the other way too, right? And the other
Yeah.
thing that people keep telling me, people are like, well, what about, isn't it scary for you because you make a lot of physical product, both back in the makerspace and also like the cosplay thing? Well, yeah, I do, but you're not gonna. It's never gonna. Well, I don't know. I can't say never, but it's unlikely that people are going to forever stop wanting to look cool in person,
Right.
right? And
Yes,
like, there's
exactly.
going to be that in-person thing too, and there'll be probably some. I mean, we'll get that augmented reality a lot. It'll probably be more of a regular way of life for us, the same way cell phones are. But there are still people who don't pay attention to cell phones or mess with cell phones and still need clothing and still need all these things that like you would need. But you'll have just basically a digital copy either way.
That's
Yeah.
yeah, I think that's the interesting part for me too. Is like I kind of mentioned a little bit earlier. Is this connection that's going to happen? Because really, everyone. I mean, either people like everyone wants to have an identity or persona, either in person, in digital, or which way or the other. And at this point
Yeah.
in time, they're separated.
Well,
Like
yeah, and
and now this new era, you're going to be living in. Some people are going to be working in both of these spaces, and the idea that you, like you said, bringing your physical world objects into a digital platform and space and showing ownership and being able to trade and buy, shoes, shirts, things like that is insane. Like where a lot of these companies are going to have to start creating both.
oh yeah, and they already are. Like,
And they already
there's a
are.
lot of shoe companies. There's, I think,
Yeah.
Nike and a few other shoe companies. Like, they are not only doing their thing, but they're also making specific shoes for the metaverse, for
Yes.
augmented reality, right? And
Yes.
not even shoes, just other things, hat companies and all kinds of random things. And for it is from my point of view, for like costumes, how cool would it be if you rolled into a convention, right? And everybody had augmented reality. So you could have real life costumes, but then on top of that, you could have like the effects. For example, like
Oh
if I had a
yeah.
chain sword, right? So say
Yeah.
I was a space marine this weekend. I'm gonna go with it. So
Yes.
if I was a space marine this weekend and I was rolling around in power armor, well, if everybody would have been in augmented reality and I would have programmed my chainsword in their augmented reality to see it as something that like was glowing and spinning and making sound and doing a bunch of crazy stuff, like I could do that, I guess, in person, right? I
Yes.
could,
Totally could.
but cost of that to happen, the fact that the wiring, it might break.
Oh
Like
yeah.
I do that kind of thing too. There's even if it's like blasters, like Star Wars blasters. Think of like theater, right? Well, if
Hmm.
augmented reality was theater, right? You go to a show and you get to see sound effects and light shows coming off the different people. And it's both, right? And that's
Yeah.
really what it is. It's an augmented thing. So you can, and the other cool thing about it too is like, say you want to go to Broadway and they have a metaverse Broadway, right? So you can go to Broadway and you can go sit in the audience and participate in person and see this augmented reality show. If you want, if you're old school, you can watch it without any type of augmented reality, and it's still a good show. You still get what's happening. And then if you're at home and you want to get on your virtual reality headset and go completely virtual reality, you can probably also watch the show because
Yep.
they've taken the time and the effort to program in all that stuff. They probably will have already had one. So again, it's much like the streaming services that we're seeing now, and the fact that Disney's going to just buy theaters, right? So
Oh
and the
yeah.
reason that Disney's buying the theaters is because they want to give people all the options. They know Disney Plus works. It's people want to see it at their house. They don't want to go to the theater, but then people are mad because they're theater thing. So what they're doing is they're just buying them, and then they're giving them an option. And it's going to be the same way in Metaverse. In the fact that you're going to have option of VR, AR, augmented reality, or just reality, normal like we do,
Like we do. And that's the
like we
thing
do.
is, yeah, and Disney just said they're totally bought in. They're totally bought
Oh yeah,
in.
totally. Well, I
They're
mean, why
like,
would they not? It's an entertainment thing in the entertainment industry. Why not?
yeah, they're totally sold and totally bought into it. And and it is like you said, this beginning phase of what we're talking about, the NFTs. People think it's crazy because it's just a JPEG or it's just a video, it's just something that can be copied and have. The idea that showing proof of X amount that this is version one of this thing is very valuable to people. And I think also just at least I'm not gonna say America, but the world, but definitely America is a collector's dream haven. Like, I mean, we all grew up collecting baseball cards,
Sure,
you know,
sure.
and
Comic
it's
books, baseball
comic
cards.
books,
Pick
baseball
something like
cards,
there's sneakers and everything. There's all kinds of
everything.
different
There's
things.
antique people out there
Mhm. Oh
that
yeah.
are hardcore in the antiques, and we've even talked about, let's just get even deeper, and we've had this conversation on the show about this next level of the metaverse, on where our minds what happens after we die, our thoughts,
I
our
wanted to bring that up
brains
tonight.
are,
Yeah,
yes,
yeah.
like these things that for your kids and your future, like this is what's being created right now. I
Mhm.
know everyone thinks Elon Musk is nuts because he is, but he's really smart nuts, obviously.
It's kind of a good thing, nuts, right?
Yeah,
And
it's
I
a
don't
good
know.
thing
I wouldn't
nuts.
even call him nuts. I would just call him he's dreaming big, right?
He's dreaming super big.
Which is
He's a
important
futurist for
for
sure.
people to do,
Yes.
right? And I'd rather him use his large amount of money and be kind of crazy, but dream big to try to do this rather than sit like a lot of billionaires do, or then just like sit and just enjoy their life and grow old and whatever. He is
Hmm.
literally giving some stuff back to us. I understand he's not the greatest, and he's not the greatest person sometimes, but
Yeah, he's
at
definitely
least there's things that are improving
right.
because of him, right? And you can't deny
No, can't
it.
deny him.
There and not just him, there's a
Yeah,
ton of people, right?
tons.
And
Right.
there's even from Metaverse, like so everybody came out and they said like, what the hell? Facebook just basically stole his idea from a whole bunch of other different people. Facebook is wanting to be the Metaverse. Yeah, they did. I mean, like, come on, they took
Yes.
and maybe not they didn't steal. They bought a lot of actual technology
Yes.
and
And they're creating a lot of technology based
they
around
are
this.
they are right, but it's not new. Okay,
No.
Google Glasses were out forever ago, right? And by forever ago, I really mean like 5, 10 years ago. So sorry, not that long ago. But the concept of it, I mean, Ready Player One, the book, has been out for a long time. The movie's been out for a long time. That
Hmm.
whole concept has been there. We've had Star Trek holodecks, which is really what we
Mm,
wanted all along. Okay, we want some Star Trek universe. We want replicators, which are
yep.
3D printers and making food and all this stuff. We want holodecks, which is
Yep.
basically what the metaverse is at a
Correct.
certain point. And
Yep.
I mean, because in the metaverse, they literally can walk. I'm sorry, in holodecks on Star Trek, they can literally walk in and interact with things and
Yes.
play baseball or do whatever it is. And the three people can be in there like real people. And then so it's augmented reality, really, or virtual reality if you're in there by yourself.
Right.
And then you can walk. They can say like change program or end program or whatever, and it just dies, and then they go about their business,
Right.
right? So it's exactly that. So a lot of the dreaming big stuff does come from sci-fi, like straight up.
Mm-hmm.
So we should look into sci-fi, into where we're headed. Hopefully we're not headed into like Dune or Doom or any of the apocalyptic type settings, right?
Right.
Yeah. So Andy got on here.
Yeah.
He's saying
Let's
some stuff.
let's see what Andy has to say. He said,
Yeah.
yeah, I think that augmented is that there was a company who were trying to do something similar. That was called Meta. Yeah, it was a tower company, a computer tower company, and they actually wanted the name, and they paid the name. They paid them, of course.
Yeah.
Facebook
They
paid them. They asked for like $2 billion or something. Facebook didn't even bat an eye.
I was about to say, I think that they at first they started to say like, "Hey, they stole it," and then Facebook goes like, "Actually, we're just going to buy that."
Yeah, and they were
That being
like,
said,
okay,
they still. I'm not going to say that they don't steal people's ideas
no, yes,
and that sort of thing. Like that is one of those things that happen. Hell, Bill Gates is famous for stealing
the
my
software.
Windows,
Yeah,
right? Like that's what happened.
yeah,
That being said, did you steal it or did you
recreate it in a
like
different way.
yeah, did you just repurpose it for your thing? I don't know. It's
Right.
rough. That's kind of what NFTs are about, actually.
Yes,
In order
completely.
to like, okay, so like I said, if you make a 3D model, you say this is mine, NFT, bam. Well, somebody can take that, they can modify that file, and if they've modified it enough, then all of a sudden it does become theirs. They can put another NFT on it, but maybe the NFTs can track that.
Well,
Um,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah. Well, and just so also too, for people that are out there that just even for simple uses, if we're just even talking NFTs, just think of NFTs as a certificate of authenticity
sure.
in digital form. Uh, Everything has it. Now the NFTs with the smart contracts that automatically act, which that's a whole another beast to start talking about. As far as what we're going to be moving forward to in this digital world and showing proof of of what you own and what you not. Most of our files, most of our documents that we now use that we might sign digitally but really don't hold up digitally, they're still held in a computer somewhere. They're going to be NFTs. They're going to show
Oh, they
authenticities.
have to be.
They're going
They
to have
have
to
to be.
be. Yeah, they
I mean,
have to be.
there's a reason they have verify websites
Everything.
out there already, but
Yeah.
verify dot whatever or whatever, have it up actually. Um, yeah, it's verify dot content authenticity.org is made by Adobe, and you can literally go there and a bunch of other places and get whatever it is that you've made in Adobe or other places completely verified in the fact that that's what it is. And
Yes.
Adobe has been doing PDFs and DocuSign and all that stuff forever. It's just going to
Forever.
be the next thing. DocuSign is, I guarantee, I don't know this for sure, so I shouldn't say guarantee, but I'm sure the DocuSign and other places like that are jumping right on this NFT thing. Like, okay, cool. Wait, it makes exactly what we've been trying to do legit for a long time.
Yes.
Great, awesome.
200% will make it legit
Yeah,
at this
yeah.
point. Because
Now
now
let
it's
me
like,
let me stop you for a second, real
yeah,
quick. I definitely want to hit um, this topic. So we talked about sci-fi, right, and how
mhm.
that basically leads to. So there's a sci-fi show called Upload on Amazon,
Okay.
and in which the people when you go to like almost die, they can upload your brain. They have to kill you to do it in the show, but in general, what happens when people die, you can choose to be uploaded, which then they put you on a virtual server. There's real people who are like running your basically afterlife, right? And you can have different types of afterlife, that sort of thing. That is not that far away,
Not at all.
actually. And that show has a lot of other really cool technology that like they do like 3D printers for food and things like that. So when you look at shows like that, like somebody's coming up with and creating these things, right? And what's great about a show like that is you can visualize it,
Yes.
right? You can watch the show, you can be like, man, this is I see kind of how this would work. This gets kind of scary at times, right? Even and it
Yeah.
gets kind of awesome at times too. But the general person, myself included, can see something like that and be like, oh, okay, cool. That's where we could go with it, right?
Yes. And I think that's like you said, I think that's where like it's getting. I mean, just the idea of us using our phones like we use our phone, like you said. I mean, phones are always, I guess, the perfect. You're so right. The cell phone is the perfect example of where to describe where we're at right now with this metaverse, the AR, VR. Right now, we're at Zach Morris brick phone.
I mean, comparatively, yes.
Comparatively,
right. So comparatively, our best technology right now is comparative to where Zach Morris was with his brick phone in Saved by the Bell, right? Because that was the best technology at the time, and it looks ridiculous to us now, right? But that's what he had, and he could call anybody anytime he wanted, right? He could also pause the time, so that was a special power. I want that.
I want that too. Definitely want that.
Maybe in Metaverse you could probably do that. I mean, hell, in holodeck you could probably go time and then have that happen. It's virtual reality. Yeah, no, Andy actually brings up another great example of an NFT here. Saying that Hasbro recently did an NFT, and you can get the limited edition Megazord. That's super cool. It's basically we talked about that earlier on the show. Is a way that a lot of people and companies are monetizing NFTs currently. Is because they're using it like tickets. You get a cool event. The Matrix thing is doing it. You can do all these things, and that's the, I guess, tip of the iceberg on how you can monetize it, right? Because it's a digital ticket in which you can get into an event, or you can have a chance to win something, or you can just win something. I love that the Matrix is letting you, that Warner Brothers is letting you either keep your NFT by taking the blue pill or whatever it is, and then if you can turn it in for something else that you don't know what it is for the red pill. So you can take the red pill or the blue pill. I'm not sure. I might be getting my pills switched, but that's fucking, pardon my French, super duper cool, right?
Yes,
to me, holy crap, yes. Let's do more crazy sci-fi stuff with this crazy sci-fi technology and see where it takes us. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And and even with that, and in the ticketing part, like the ticketing in the metaverse, and creating these online. One thing I'm so looking to, being and working in a co-working, we're in a co-working space right now. We're in a maker space right now. Crowdfunding for projects using NFTs as stock, bond, smart contract basis is going to be the next thing. This is going to be I saw some things. What's it? Why can't I think of the name right now? The one that always has the crowdfunding. What is it called that everyone uses?
GoFundMe and stuff, right?
GoFundMe. And what's the other one? The big one? Kickstarter.
Thank you. Yeah.
Kickstarter is officially creating a platform for NFT smart contract.
Oh, of course they are, right?
As we speak, and this is huge. This is huge for people to actually be able to make sure they can get some value, because this is the one good thing about the blockchain, is that with the tokenizing of the chain and being used, at least what you're investing in putting on the chain is always going to be worth something, as long as that network is worth something.
Yeah, so long as, just like anything, right? Your cell phone's worth something so long as you can use it.
Right.
But then if it breaks or you can't, or the network's not down, it's like, playing an online game only. Right. If they take the servers down, then it doesn't work.
Well, we've had the conversation. We've been in here and we heard, hear funders and, investors talk about, we're going to invest in this company that we think is a good idea. We see the upside of it. We're going to put this cash into this thing. And if it loses, it's gone. At least
investors, that's how investors work. They invest on 20 different companies, hoping for the one big one, and they lose a lot of their money. There's a ton of venture capitalists I've talked to that literally that's what they do, but they make all their money back on that one win.
On that one or two wins.
They're going to do the same thing with NFTs, with all these other. It's a risk, right? It's a risk market.
Well, yeah. Well, see, that's the thing. I think with this crowdfunding part, even if it's the NFT or the contract, since a lot of them are built on, say, the Ethereum blockchain, or it's built on, right now Ethereum and that's the main hub. They have the Polygon, and if you're starting to get metaverse gaming things, there's other tokens called like Avalanche and eGraft, and that's a whole nother rabbit hole. But those things are those are of value on their own.
Oh, yeah, of course they are, right? And you can actually change them around and use them other places.
Change them around. So now investors, angel investors, if they want to put, if you're minting a smart contract to raise money, no matter what, that actual smart contract NFT in its own is worth some money if the whole thing fails. And so this is going to change really change the risk ratio for some, depending on what coin or what platform these are built on for some of these investors, because they're going to be willing to go say, the Ethereum blockchain right now, one token is $5,000. Like in the smart contract built on it, if it's actually built on the Ethereum token, not a side token, it's still going to be worth $5,000.
Okay.
Or, or it can fluctuate, but it's going to be worth something. You're never going to lose all your money. And that's even crazier.
I would say that is a really, really, really good point. I don't know that it's quite as foolproof as you're kind of making it sound.
Yeah, it's not as good. It's not as foolproof.
You can still lose your ass on it. You can.
Oh, well, yeah, you still can lose your butt.
And there have definitely been people who already have, but also not. It's one of those, it's a Wild West too. There's laws still being made about it. Yeah. The laws are still going to be way behind on all this stuff, right? Like literally, they were trying to figure.
They're trying to figure out Facebook last summer. Remember?
Tell people in Congress how the internet worked, right? Just like, come on. Like, well, one, and that's going to be another thing too. We're going to need government officials and lawmakers and everybody else to step up in their game and get acquainted to what's happening here. Because there's a ton of stuff that's happening, and they're doing that. They are. There's massive teams of people doing it. And I'm not sure if it's a good or a bad thing. I do know that they want some. It has to be. There has to be some checks to it. Mainly because there could be a lot of illegal activity happening in the digital platform, of course.
Yeah. Well, see, I think that's once again, that goes back to even, we're talking more about the new jobs, the new things, like, that's why, right now, like, they have DAOs, what they call them, those are the, the decentralized autonomous organizations where you pretty much, that's also the beauty of the chain. A lot of these, when they're created, people are buying into these new blockchains and they have governance tokens where the people that are a part of this chain get to decide on what happens. And that's actually one of the big arguments with Facebook and the rest of the metaverse situation is that the metaverse, the Facebook metaverse is not decentralized, and there's an organization that controls it. Whereas in the true metaverse, which there's some platforms out there,
you're talking about basically just blockchain and Web3, if you will.
Yes,
right. So it's not really the same thing that Facebook's doing. What you're saying, the metaverse, which is the whole what you're again using synonymously with Web3, if you will. Those are just parts of Web3, right? There's other crazy things in Web3 that are happening.
Yes.
I think it's a
like I bought domain names in Web3 yesterday on the blockchain.
Oh, you did? Is that what you said?
Yeah.
Domain names are always fun to have, always good to have. Any 3-letter domain name for like www anything, 3 letters, even if it's .org or a lot of those dots, still worth crap tons of money, right?
Yeah,
3 or 4 letters, because who doesn't want that? Something super easy to do.
And it's and that's where we're at. Like, it's crazy to even. I didn't even really think about it, but as soon as I saw it, like I was like, oh yeah, I'm buying my name at .wallet. I'm buying at my name at .bitcoin. I'm buying my name at .x because
at what you want. Yeah, but that's your name. You got to get like.
But just in general, I was going to buy mine. But of course, you want to buy like.
There's a lot of people.
Luke Skywalker at
done tons. Yeah. 865-7309 or whatever that is.
Right. Yeah. 867-5309.
But man. Yeah, that's actually a really good point that there's so much like real estate, if you will.
Real estate in this
out there.
Yes. And
including actual virtual real estate.
Yeah, let's go back to that because that still like, that's going to turn into an interesting situation at some point, I think.
That's one of those things I can't get my mind around.
Yeah, it's boggling me as well.
Right? Like I can get my mind around a lot of things we've talked about, the metaverse as far as like AR and hey, I can show you cool stuff instead of pulling out my phone and showing you. I'm just going to do this with my hands and show you. that makes sense. The virtual land domain or virtual, I feel like you can always just make more, right? Like, isn't that the issue? Because like in the world, we are very limited to the amount of actual land, even though there's still a lot of used, I guess, tapped land actually still in the world, and then we have, of course, space and other places. And by other place, I really just mean the ocean. There's no other.
Yeah,
We're
there's
very
not.
limited on the amount of different places.
Right.
Um, but with virtual worlds, I guess, yeah. What's to say? Like, if I go in and I buy, let's take Minecraft for an example, because
Hmm.
it's how I can put my head around it.
No, this is really, yeah.
Right?
Yes.
If I come in and I go into a Minecraft server and I'm like, "Yep, cool, you made your Minecraft world, and I'd like to take take claim on this like island or this continent, if you will, on your entire Minecraft world." Well, yeah, that's cool and all for everybody who plays on that Minecraft world. But the second that like somebody's like, you know what, let's start a new server, right? Then you're done. So I can only assume, and I haven't looked into it, and I want to because it's just fascinating. I can only assume that they're either banking on everybody or a lot of people using whatever that server, whatever that world is, that they're buying their digital land on, meaning they're really going to depend on marketing and getting everybody else to gravitate toward this world that they've bought stuff on.
Hmm.
But I guess if everybody's buying stuff there, then you have that collective pool of marketing that will be used to get everybody to say that you need to join here, right? Where I mean, it
Hmm.
would make sense to have to say like, well, no, you already bought up all the land there, or you already did all these things there. I'm going to start my own server. But in reality, the way people work and marketing works is they're going to go, oh, well, I'm going to go to the cool place. So
Hmm.
that's probably what they're thinking,
That's
actually. So yeah,
that's totally, I think, what they're thinking. And I mean, and going back to even talking about our augmented world, I guess it probably, like you said, depends on in what platform you're playing your augmented world in. So that's why some of this land, like for instance, you know, I mean, somebody could buy MatchBOX in the virtual world in 15 different environments, depending on which AR or VR environment you live in
yeah,
or
no,
interact
that's
in. And that's just, and the crazy part is when it start getting to the point where people have to start buying their virtual space of their own space
yeah. I mean, that's the
because
same.
it
It's just
might
like
be what
buying a
has to
web
happen.
domain.
Yeah.
But that's the thing. Like, it just like we're at Matchbox, right? We would love to own Matchbox.com. We don't because there's a Matchbox car and there's a bunch of other things,
Right.
right? But if we just owned, in like we're in a physical location, so if somebody has a real world server, or there's 5 very commonly used real world servers, it's very possible that we'll have to buy that land on that server, on those servers, and then we'll also probably have to pay someone to make actual Matchbox, like to run virtually Matchbox,
Yeah.
to either
And
welcome people in VR land,
yep.
or we're gonna have to pay like somebody to program a welcome bot or something like that. That's literally a VR like
Version of James in the
person.
makerspace.
Yeah. So or maybe I have to get on VR and deal with that too. Like they cover that in Upload a little
Yeah.
bit, right? Like there's real life people who are like, oh hey, I'm doing this thing. And they're like, okay, cool, I gotta go on, and they put on their headset and they're dealing with it. And of course, it's a sci-fi show. We don't know how it's actually gonna look.
Right.
All the tech is obviously like way far behind, just like watching Star Wars now with their screens.
Right.
Um, but still, it's a really, I guess, is a glimpse in my mind. A lot of sci-fi stuff is a glimpse in my mind, and it's really where the people who are coming up with this stuff, right? What we're going to originally use these things for are things that we're familiar with that we've seen
Correct.
in sci-fi,
Yes.
right? Which I can't say. I mean, I know it seems like a horse I'm beating to death, but like that is really neat to me that these um, you know fiction writers are really like writing the future, right? So when they come up with something out of their head of something that happened, or that they write in their book, or they put it in a movie, made a book and it goes to a movie, eventually society in general and like scientists and engineers and everybody else are just working super hard to get that to happen. I mean, hell, this thing on my head right here, like I love this thing. This part of the reason I love this thing is this was something that Cable, one of my favorite comic book characters, used to wear all the
Right?
time, right? But when Liefeld like literally drew this on the character, that changed my perspective of one of these things into being like, man, that looks really cool. I want that. And now as an adult,
Everything.
I wear one of these things. That's crazy, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
It changes everything instantly.
yeah. I mean, so again, like this, where creative and artists and anybody else is really affecting the future. The sky's the limit on like scanning things, all sorts, and a bunch of stuff that we haven't even thought of, right?
Right.
And I think that's a really good point I want to make too. In the same way that like when social media was coming out or when cell phones were coming out or something, we didn't know that these jobs were going to be created, where all the jobs and all these things that people now work in all those things. And cybersecurity, by the way, cybersecurity is
Yes.
already rough. It's already hard for people to pay
Oh
any attention
man.
to. Once blockchains come out, I mean, more blockchains are actually they're just going to be a different kind of security, right? And then you
It's
got
totally gonna be
quantum
different
computing that's
security.
going to blow away anything that's encrypted. Gone. There's a lot of issues, and then of course keeping all these things, keeping the security of all this stuff down. I have no idea how it's going to happen. They're going to have to make shit tons of jobs, or it's just not going to be secure at all. It'll probably be both. It'll probably be shit tons of jobs and not secure at all for a while,
Probably.
for a long time. That's how the internet was and is.
Yeah. It's definitely going to have. I think you're 100% right on that. That's pretty much how it's going to work. It's going to come to the point where you're going to have to. Actually, it's kind of scary to think about it that way, but
There's a lot of scariness, right? And I think a lot of
now
the
that you
reason
say
people
it
don't
that
like
way,
it is how scary some of this can be.
yeah,
Right? If you want to go to somebody's
yeah,
virtual house that's been scanned without without their consent, really, right? Because a lot of places are just flying through and scanning entire neighborhoods. You can go virtually up to somebody's front door, right? Maybe in their house. I don't know if there's a scan of it, right? If the person before you sold the house, but they sold the scan of their house and it was on it, somebody can technically, scary wise, because somebody could virtually walk into your house. You wouldn't be there, right? But they could see all the schematics and everything else and see how it worked and all that. There's a lot of craziness to it, right? And I'm sure we'll see
yeah,
cool spy movies. Oceans like 28 will come out and they'll be doing that, right? Like that'll be one of those things that like they 3D print things, in some of the Oceans movies. Yeah, they'll be doing all that. So it'll be interesting. Hopefully nobody gets hurt too bad, with all of it. I do, just like a lot
man,
of technologies like it, I do think that a virtual reality or a augmented reality will do a lot of good too. So in the same
yes,
way that like cell phones, people don't like cell phones for various reasons. In general, as a whole, cell phones have made us a more productive, in my mind at least. And not everybody would agree with me. My father would not agree with me, right?
oh yeah, he would think
Uh,
that the cell phone. Well, yeah, because people are looking. I guess yeah, I can
yeah,
see
yeah.
that.
People are looking. They're distracted by stuff. They're not getting. Um, they're kind of getting as much done, but they're not getting the same stuff done, right? But so
Right.
anyway, but I would definitely say like cell phones for sure let you be that information gatherer, right? You can find
Yes.
whatever you need on there. You can learn how to do things on your cell phone. It depends on how you use it. You can rot your brain on your cell phone too,
Yes, you
right? And there
can.
definitely will probably be people who get into virtual reality and AR, and that's what they do, right? I mean, there's even
Hmm.
been some sci-fi shows on that one where you just
Yeah, the Black
the
Mirror.
character will walk through. Yeah, yeah. Go on.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I mean, and and that, I guess that's the, I guess this new world we're going to be stepping into. I'd say more so like your son, so especially our
Sure.
younger kids that the kids now that are 8, 9, 10 years old, looking at what we're talking about, and obviously pick up all this stuff way faster than we were ever can think of. Um, they're going to be very active in this whole thing. And it's like I said, finding ways to govern it, having people in there that can kind of be at least community. Community is going to be big, just like we talk about on this show a lot. The community in these different worlds are going to be the most important part in this, and
look at
being
gaming.
responsible.
Look at gaming. Okay, so that's the other thing too. Nobody can deny gaming. Video games are way bigger industry than anything else.
Oh, it's the biggest industry. It's the biggest industry, and it's the biggest, most profitable industry.
Bigger than music, bigger than movies combined. Big, just gigantic, right? Yeah. And you look at how
it's up there with timber.
Like, yeah. If you look at the importance of communities in video games, we've had people on here that have talked about being professional video gamers and how their community was like their biggest thing. And, just all the different things that we talk about here and with community, making community and all the stuff. Yeah, it's going to go straight to that. And games are also going to be a driving factor, of course. Like, who doesn't want to play, the new Matrix game that's literally in the real world that you're in right now, but you get to unplug and go back to the real world, right? But like actually playing the Matrix game as the actual Matrix movie was intended,
right,
is legitimately a thing that we could do in our lifetime.
Yes.
I don't think it'll be like force impact, even though they actually have that. They have that too. What am I talking about? If you want, you can get complete like body feel of all of like everything. Like it'll shock you, if you get shot. If you want that to happen, luckily that's a setting. It's like the vibration on your controllers, right? You can some games you don't want to turn it on. Some games it's cool to have it on. But no, they already have that now, and that's just all that technology is getting crazier every time you see like a new tech fair. There's a bunch more companies who've come out with a bunch more ideas doing that, and it's just it's a snowball almost, right? It
totally
getting better and better and better. What else did you want to talk about? Like
that was really right there. That was like and I think this is like we don't know how long we'll keep on Maker Monday. Hopefully for a long time. But just the whole time
I'll see you in AR, man. I'll see you in VR.
Like just the impact this can have for people we talk to on a daily basis, bi-weekly basis bi-weekly basis on this show. A lot of it is creating things that now like there's a new platform for this creations of what we're talking about and functionalities of things that go into it. It might not be the mechanical functionality like we sometimes worry about, but then now these mechanical ideas are now have to be translated into coding in digital form, which even changes it and creates even an even cooler environment. And it's just such a cool thing. And there's so much we just went we didn't dig in. People, anybody that's watching this and you're going to watch this live, we are way surface level today, and we just talked for an hour nonstop.
Yeah, no, very surface level. But another point I'd like to make though is with we'll call it real life artists and makers and creators, with the more virtual and AR people that are going out there and those jobs that are happening, those things that are creating, that makes it more rare to have a real life artist, right? And those real life paintings are still going to be worth money.
Still going
right? They're still going, and not even if it's worth money, they're still going to hold value, if you will. People are still going to want cosplay items for at least a very long while. People are still going to want a cool looking hat and coat and shoes and all that stuff until like we go full on Wally, which is when which by the way, let's think about this for a second. And I know
that didn't sound. That's a good representation. That's a good.
Let me check this this blew my mind the other day. I thought about it. I'm not sure if somebody said it or if I just thought about this. Dude, the people in Wally are what our society's actually trying to get to. We all think that they're awful, that it's awful that they're there. But a lot of what we're trying to accomplish is literally having a full-on autonomous workforce and or like getting off the planet and or trying to figure out like how to keep everybody entertained, keep everybody fed well, keep everybody like doing it. And that's a lot of what that's what they've done, right? So technically that's kind of a utopia.
Mm-hmm.
It's a scary ass one from our point of view and from like the point of view of Wally, right?
Right.
But
Yeah.
those people, with all the ads and everything else they're dealing with, that sucks. But they're also that's Black Mirror shit or stuff right there, right? And
Yeah.
also, go boy, if you like what we've talked about today and you want to hear the dark side of this technology type stuff, just go watch Black Mirror on Netflix because
Oh,
that's
yeah.
literally all the horror stories that you're gonna see, right? Like that's
Yeah.
the bad.
Yeah.
But it's also good too, like because there's again that's sci-fi stuff that is going to show. Okay, cool. There's a contact lens that lets you. There's a Black Mirror episode about the fact that people have like augmented actual like they're cyborgs
Mm-hmm.
and they can replay everything they've seen. Well, that's super helpful sometimes, right?
Yep.
But then it gets really dark because it's Black Mirror. But that's one of those things. Like I could see somebody saying like if right now somebody was like, "Hey, James, for like $2,000, everything you see you can now replay." Fuck it, like, or I'm sorry, man, my language is off tonight. Like a lot more than that.
But like,
it's because I just came off of CTV2 and I'm not used to being not already seen. But anyway, yeah, if somebody offered that to me right now, like, yeah, I'd want that. I'd want that, and I've seen the Black Mirror episode, right?
Yep, it's only science fiction. Yeah,
I'd still go, and yeah, it's only science fiction until we learn to implement it in reality. Yeah, yeah, and we've done that with so many things. Think of all
so many things.
Think of cell phone. Think of literally what we're doing right now with this. African potty mouth. That's exactly right. That's like syndrome, please.
But yeah, cell phones, 3D printers, like, car engines.
Oh yeah, totally. Cars in general, like
airplanes.
Yeah, and we're saying simple stuff, right? We're saying super simple stuff. Dude, I got in a Tesla I got to ride in a Tesla car.
Yeah.
And it's like I literally jokingly said it was a Batmobile. Like the thing he can call his Tesla wherever he is, like, and it will just like unpark itself and drive up to him.
Yeah.
I don't know if it works great. In some places, it'll drive itself on the highway. When you walk up to the doors pop out. When you get into it, like everything like sets its seats preference and everything else to him. You can literally see the cars around you on like a virtual screen. You can see your car on a virtual screen in front of you. It's insane, and that's like literally now technology actually happening
right now,
right now, and that's all just gonna I don't know, back a better term, like trickle down to everyday stuff. Just like backup cams used to be like, why do you need a backup cam? That's kind of crazy. Now everything has a backup cam.
Everything has a backup cam.
Yeah, same kind of deal. It's good to see you, Lisa and Andy. Good to hang out.
Yeah. Thanks, Andy, for chiming in today and adding to the show for sure.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. Well, all right. Looks like we're close to time here, James.
We are kind of close to time. I could talk about this literally for hours.
We could talk about it, and there'll be more shows. And I've already reached out to some people that are working in AR. There's actually a guy in Fort Wayne that actually has a company that does AR stuff, and he said he'd be willing to come talk to us about this. Definitely on Maker Monday. And then there's another guy actually in South Bend too as well that does some AR and some blockchain and some making, and he's metaversing. And so he said he would definitely be willing to come on as well and talk to us. And so we could get like people that do this on an everyday basis, like this is what they do, get that insight. And they're here in Indiana, which is even cooler,
That is really cool. We're actually also going to be in the near future, as if we're talking about that. In the near future, we're gonna have a D&D group who's doing a bunch of Twitch streams of playing D&D on here. That's very much makerish.
That's awesome. Yes.
It's definitely different. Maybe they get into blockchain. Maybe they do some. A lot of people are going virtual on D&D.
Yeah.
And role playing and things like that. So that's it. All video games, nerdy stuff, technology, comic books, movies, all that stuff just kind of melds into one thing, right?
Well, it's in the metaverse. Yeah. It all melds.
Oh man,
all
in the
these
metaverse, I
things.
can't wait to read my first comic book in the metaverse.
You could be
Right?
in the comic book in the metaverse.
Right, but like that's the thing. Like you can straight be Deadpool. You can have a comic book in the comic book of the metaverse and realize that you're still there. Actually, I see
Yes.
a lot of people going half like slightly insane if the technology is really good. Right, to the point of like, where am I right now? Right, that's a real like Alice in
Yeah.
Wonderland experience.
I mean, so we'll take it one step earlier, and this is,
Mhm.
you're talking about Disney, and we're talking about movies, we're talking about the
Sure.
Matrix. At some point in time in the metaverse, you're going to get a ticket to a part of a server, use the people in them, and you're going to be walking through you're going to be living the movie.
Oh,
That will be the
yeah,
movie.
yeah. That and that too. Like they will literally be programming. Like I said, Broadway is a really good example
Broadway,
of
yes.
something that you could do with metaverse, right? You can see it normal, you can see it in augmented reality, or you can be living it,
You can
right?
be in it.
Yeah, and it might not only be Broadway, right? They might
Right.
just stay. They might be like, our niches did not do it that way, but somebody's going to do it like that. And like you said, there's going to be movies, and at very minimum, stories, right? Just
Yes,
same
at
way
least
Lion
stories.
King is on everything, right? There's a live
Yeah.
action, there's animated, there's all those things, right? So you're going to be able to go to some type of immersive, completely immersive
Completely immersive.
within VR. I mean, hell, I've already played a lot of VR stuff that, I'm in a Star Wars game, right? I
Yeah.
Darth Vader. I turn around, Darth Vader's there, and he's literally breathing, and I freak out, right? I'm like, oh
Yeah.
no, Vader's going to get me. It's hard to tell that I'm not actually there. And this is just with our current technology,
Right.
let alone some of the other stuff. Yeah.
And
Craziness,
yeah,
craziness.
and all the cool people that are going to make all the stuff that we hopefully get to talk to as they make all this cool stuff.
Yeah, I know a lot of it is making. Yeah, there's
Yeah.
other makers we have lined up. There's some photographers. There's a guy that does a lot of scanning.
So
There's just tons of stuff.
2022, we're gonna have the gambit.
Yeah,
I
and the
can't
best
wait
part about it is we're able to use technology like this
to
to
do it.
talk to them. And I want to do our first Maker Monday in AR or in VR, right?
That would be really cool.
That would be really cool. We there's VR like meetings,
Well, maybe we
right?
should figure out, because I mean, I believe that the Maker Space has a brand new Oculus, and that is on the list for me to purchase for myself before the year's up, and maybe we can figure that out, and we definitely can plug those into these computer devices, so maybe we can figure that out.
We just have avatars and we're streaming somehow like this. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, that's my avatar would be me, but probably with the cowboy hat on. See,
Well, of course,
that's
and
what it
going
would be.
and doing
Yeah,
something like this.
yeah, something like that. Yeah, but I
Of
can
course,
press a
mine's
button
gonna have a White Sox
instead
hat
of having
on,
to
so
do
there
it.
you
Yeah, you
go.
gotta have the White Sox hat on. You gotta have your deal. No, man, I'm excited to see where it goes. I'm really hoping I can get my brain uploaded before I die. That would be really fun. Or again, Black Mirror style, awful in like the worst possible way. So that's a problem too. So, but yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
maybe, hopefully somewhere in the middle. Maybe not Utopia, but hopefully not Black Mirror craziness.
There you
Um,
go.
but if you enjoyed the show tonight, and let me know, let us know. Um, Thank you for coming by, for always asking questions. For always, thank you, Andy and Lisa, for watching. This is also going to go on YouTube, so you can share it around. We're going to share it around. It'll stay on our YouTube. We'll have a link on our website. And then also, I'm always looking for new people to talk to, like Kofi and I were just talking about. Hopefully, they're in Indiana. They don't have to be by any means. If you're making something cool, be it a metaverse, be it NFTs, be it literal sculpting and crafting, this is Maker Monday. So we want to cover everything, right? And the thing about it is that we want to make sure that there's that wide range, because making is not just 3D printing something. Making is not just crafting something with your hands. It's not solely any of these things. It's making movies. It's coming up with sci-fi. It's coming up. It's doing all the different things we have talked about on here. This is episode like 40 or so. I need to actually go back and count them, but we've been doing it for a while. So if you actually want to go back and look at any of them, they are on our YouTube channel and also on our Facebook page. Um, Feel free to like, follow, subscribe, all that stuff. But I mean, so that really helps us out. And I really want to continue to do this all the way through 2020, like, I don't know, 20, like 80. You know, we'll go, how long how you plan on living, Kofi?
I
Maybe if we get
mean,
uploaded, then
yeah, if
longer, right?
uploaded, we could be like Max Headroom, and we can do
Let's
this
go.
forever.
We can get uploaded and just do this into like the year 3000, right?
Yeah, I mean, I'm here for it at this point in the game.
Yeah, I feel like, I might have to deal with Kofi for a long time.
Yeah, you might be stuck with me.
It'll be good. It'll be good. I like you. Ask me again in millennia, right? We'll see.
Right.
We'll see. Hey, thanks a lot.
Hey, thanks, you guys, everybody. You guys have a good night.
See you next time.